Welcome back to Real Talk Unfiltered. Today, we're diving into the heated debate around Camp Mystic, the so-called whites-only Christian camp in East Texas that's got social media on fire. Jana, what's your initial reaction to the outrage about the camp's racial makeup?
Honestly, it's wild. The camp's exclusivity is sparking legitimate concern, but the conversation's also gotten deeply personal, almost like it's about more than just a summer camp. It's a flashpoint for bigger debates about race, belonging, and who gets to be included.
Right, and let's not ignore the tone here. The criticism isn't just about policies, it's about psychology, identity, and even self-worth. Why do you think these issues cut so deep, especially in today's climate?
Because it's not just a camp, it's a symbol. When people see exclusion, it activates deep wounds about acceptance and value in society. It becomes less about sleeping bags and marshmallows and more about whose kids get to feel safe and celebrated.
Let's get into the psychology. There's a claim here about internalized racism black person, allegedly fawning over whiteness, associating it with goodness. How does that manifest, and is it really that simple?
It's complicated. Internalized racism isn't just some switch you flip, it's layered, often rooted in lifelong conditioning. Studies show that media and cultural messaging do shape self-perception, but not everyone responds the same way. It's reductionist to say envy is the sole driver.
Absolutely. If we're being fair, isn't it also possible to critique exclusion without it being about wanting to be white? Maybe it's about calling out unfairness, not self-loathing.
That's a valid point. Sometimes people are just mad about double standards. Wanting equal access doesn't mean you wish you were the gatekeeper. It's like being mad about VIP sections, not because you want to be a celebrity, but because you hate the velvet rope.
Transitioning to the camp itself, let's address the elephant in the room. Is Camp Mystic actually a whites-only enclave, or is this perception fueled by its lack of diversity?
From the outside, it's hard to ignore the optics. All-white campers, predominantly white staff, it doesn't scream inclusive. But unless the camp explicitly bars non-white kids, proving intent is tricky. Sometimes, exclusion is systemic, not written in ink.
Yet, isn't there a difference between passive and active exclusion? If a camp never recruits outside its network, is that just tradition or a covert policy?
Exactly. You can hide behind culture fit or tradition, but if the outcome is always the same homogeneity, it's fair to question the system. It's like a country club that never says no minorities, but somehow never has any.
Now, shifting gears, let's talk about media coverage. The point's made that missing white girls get wall-to-wall exposure, while missing girls of color barely make headlines. Is this a fair assessment?
Unfortunately, the data backs it up. A 2016 Northwestern study found missing white children received 4 times more media coverage than missing black children. The missing white woman syndrome isn't just a meme, it's a measurable bias in journalism.
But is it all malicious? Or is it unconscious bias? I mean, surely journalists aren't sitting around plotting who deserves airtime.
Most bias isn't overt villain yet structural. Newsrooms reflect the demographics and interests of their audience, and that often means stories that seem relatable or marketable get prioritized. But intent doesn't erase impact.
Here's where things get spicy. Critics point out that some activists denounce whiteness while partnering with white spouses. Is that hypocrisy, or is it more complicated?
People love to call that a contradiction, but identity and relationships are messy. You can critique systems of power or exclusion and still fall in love with someone from another group. It's like being vegan and dating a carnivore. The heart doesn't always follow the politics.
Fair, but when activists build a platform on anti-whiteness, then share a home with white partners, it does raise eyebrows. Is it selective outrage or genuine conviction?
It depends on consistency. If your activism is about self-liberation, not hate, then your relationships aren't automatically contradictory. Hypocrisy only sticks if you're preaching hate but practicing love.
Let's address the digital side. Social media seems to magnify every hot take, rewarding outrage and divisiveness. Are people genuinely concerned or just chasing clout?
Both. The algorithms love controversy, so opinions get sharper and more polarizing. But that doesn't mean the underlying issues aren't real. It's just that nuance rarely goes viral, rage does. And yes, Some folks monetize their pain and outrage because attention has become a currency.
So, are we witnessing activism or performance? When someone's following grows after every scandal, is it principle or profit?
It's a blurred line. For some, it starts as activism and morphs into performance when the incentives shift. There's even a term for it, rage farming. But at the end of the day, social media rewards spectacle, not substance.
Bringing it local, let's talk about the ground reality during disasters in Texas floods, storms, all of it. We hear about neighbors helping neighbors, regardless of race. Does that challenge the narrative of deep, unbridgeable division?
Absolutely. When crisis hits, the footage shows people linking arms black, white, Hispanic, no one checks party ID or skin tone before pulling someone from a flooded car. It's a reminder that the America on Twitter isn't always the America on Main Street.
Yet the online discourse paints a dire picture. Is real-world solidarity being drowned out by digital drama?
To some extent, yes. Social media distorts the frequency and intensity of division, but in the real world, cooperation still happens. The loudest voices online aren't always the most representative.
Pivoting to academia, there's a recurring claim that universities breed division and radicalism, funding what some call indoctrination. Is higher ed really a factory for outrage?
It's not that simple. Universities are diverse ecosystems. Yes, some departments lean left, and there are echo chambers, but they also foster debate, research, and intellectual challenge. Painting all higher ed as radical misses the complexity.
But there's no denying that some extreme views get amplified, sometimes with public funding. Is there a way to encourage viewpoint diversity without censorship?
Definitely. Promoting open debate, supporting a range of speakers, and encouraging critical thinking, not groupthink, are key. Banning views rarely works. Engagement is healthier.
Let's unpack the idea of victim mentality and anger. Some suggest that outrage has become a business model, pain and grievance as a brand. Is this a real trend or just a cynical take?
There's truth in it. A 2021 Pew survey found that divisive posts get 70% more engagement. When pain and anger pay, some will manufacture or amplify grievances. But of course, not all activism is a grift. There are genuine struggles out there.
So, how do we tell the difference between authentic advocacy and performative outrage?
Consistency and credibility. If someone only shows up when the cameras roll or pivots their stance for clicks, that's a red flag. Authentic advocates do the work even when it's not trending or profitable.
Wrapping up, let's get practical. With all this division, what's the way forward? How do we build unity without erasing difference and call out injustice without fueling more hate?
Empathy is the antidote. Real progress happens when we listen across divides, acknowledge pain without weaponizing it, and focus on shared humanity. It's less about agreeing on everything, more about acting with decency and refusing the bait of outrage merchants.
So it comes down to resisting easy narratives and doing the hard work of community. Jana, final thought?
Absolutely don't let the loudest, angriest voices set the tone. If we root ourselves in honesty, empathy, and common purpose, we stand a chance at bridging even the widest divides. And maybe, just maybe, we can finally move the conversation forward.